Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the channel and welcome to our program today. It's so great to have you on board today. And as this is our second week on this channel, brand new channel to YouTube. Last week, if you did not get to join us, we took some time to explain about the channel, why we have developed it, and sort of what we're looking to do. And but don't worry if you missed that one. We're actually producing and directing a trailer to put on the channel, and you can watch that after we post it, obviously. And it will explain some of the same things. So we didn't want to take too much of our running time today, as we do try to keep these at a certain length. And so I'm just so happy that you're all here. A hearty welcome to those from the other platforms, as well as those listeners from outside of the United States. We had a couple, I believe four, the last few weeks. So a very warm welcome to you as well. So let's get started. So we do have that organizational email I wanted to call your attention to, which is soulify861 at gmail.com. And I invite you to use that as often as you like. It is monitored pretty much every day, 7 days a week. And there'll always be someone to monitor that, and we will answer each and every request and answer you back. Okay. And so we're happy that you're here with us. So let's get going in today's program. So I mentioned the last video that we dropped was actually a very important one, and it's all about finding that beautiful purpose and destiny and starting on that beautiful spiritual journey. Um, and here I'm not talking about a religious journey, so please don't misunderstand. Um, in my family, we welcome you all in. It doesn't matter, if you're Christian, atheist, agnostic, maybe you're Buddhist, maybe you're spiritualist, or I can't mention them all, but all from all walks of life. You're in a safe space here, and you'll never be judged here. And so I just welcome you all, and I want you to feel at ease, and especially if you want to ask questions or any of that. As very soon we're going to have a lot of interactive tools on our channel, actually where we can respond. And so I want you to feel safe, and there's no judgment at all. But self-awareness is a very important subject as we, spiritually awake, and we start the healing process that needs to be done, and then even post healing. And whether or not you're spiritually awake or not, uh, I wish that you would take advantage of it even now, because being more self aware really will help you with all the challenges, all the obstacles that you have on the inside, as we look at how we can sort of manage those thoughts, the feelings, the emotions, our trigger points, how to change, our habits, how to identify them, how to set boundaries, some important stuff. So I hope you guys can stick with me to the end. And so I think of self-awareness sort of like that new car, the computer system that's on board. We know sometimes some cars have 3 or 4 computer systems, right? And so that computer system is what determines how that car is going to idle, how it's going to run, how economical it is, how it's using the fuel. and all that kind of stuff. So self-awareness is sort of like that. So it's going to help us perceive and understand the things that make you who you are as that unique individual. And it's a lot of understanding and understanding your personality, your core beliefs, your core values, and your emotions and thoughts, as we've already mentioned, and recognizing your strengths and your challenges. And it will help you gain that clarity. Have you ever tried to think inside of yourself, like through thoughts and emotions, and you just don't have the clarity, like you just don't know why things seem cloudy, why you try to do a certain thing, maybe the right thing with a significant other or whatever, and you just spin your wheels, right? So this is going to help you, um, you know, and this is, as the last point here, it's the highest crowning achievement for the human being, and it is considered a superpower. So if you've ever wanted to have a superpower, being very self-aware, because then you're in control of all those thoughts and feelings and emotions that you have coming inside of you. And you should be operating from this beautiful heart space. There's nothing on the outside that can help you. Okay. So you have all the wisdom, all the knowledge. You have, God, spirit, source, universe, whatever you resonate with. And, you have your beautiful heart to love, and so forth and so on. So we're going to be mentioning some of those things as we move along. So to get started, we really need to take an inventory, that self-evaluation inventory, because this is actually going to help us. The self-awareness is the key to initiating that change that we all want, right? Because I think most of it, from the human point of view, we realize that there's some things that we need to change, right? And as we deal with other people, we come in contact with others. And, you know, if we don't claim the self awareness piece of things, we're going to keep struggling. And we have the power to find that authentic self, to let the mask fall off of your face, right? And we're going to talk about authenticity here in a little bit. And so that self-awareness actually helps us remove the roadblocks, the obstacles and the challenges that most of us have from a day-to-day basis. And it's going to become, you will become much more powerful and stronger as we work through those challenges and those obstacles, right? And so each one of us is born with a set of gifts, spiritual gifts, as well as talents. You're very, very talented, and I mentioned at birth that you're actually born with these, but along the way, especially as you start to uncover what that beautiful purpose and that destiny is, and especially as you start on your journey, you will actually be given even greater gifts and greater spiritual power as it goes forward. And so some of the self-awareness modalities I've listed here on the slide: growth mindset, self-reflection, discovering your habits, intentional mindfulness, again, maintaining your boundaries, creating them as well. What are your triggers? What triggers you? We each have different ones, right? The intentions, how to set them, and then we don't want to forget about our inner child. Most of us haven't had that childhood that we wish we had. And we're going to understand what empathy really is, and trusting that beautiful intuition. And so as we were looking at the growth mindset, we want to compare the growth mindset versus the fixed mindset. So we never want to stop growing, right? Maturing, so to speak. So As we think about our life, especially on the inside of that beautiful heart space, um, we want to experience the garden. Think of your life as a garden. You've got the beautiful toiled, um, rather, that beautiful, rich soil, I meant to say. And so we're planting seeds all the time. Whatever your desires are, whatever you're, manifesting, we're actually putting the seeds into that beautiful soil and we water them and then we sort of, um, looking for that first sprouts to pop through the soil, right? But we want to talk about the weeds just a minute. So, weeds are one of the most destroying items to a garden, right? And so, as we initiate the self reflection, the self awareness mindset, this is what we're actually doing is keeping the weeds out of that and making sure that we're cultivating that garden beautifully. And so you've heard me talk about the journey. Um, we really need to pay attention to our journey. This is where the beautiful experiences are. Yes, it's important to know what the purpose is, what our purpose, and it's important to know what the end destiny is, but the journey is where it all takes place. And so we want to stop periodically and celebrate how far you've come, even now. And then we want to reach out for feedback, hopefully constructive feedback. We don't want to take any more or have any more, the anxiety and people misleading you. And so if you seek it from another person, make sure that's a close friend or family member. But we can also seek feedback from our heart, from inside of us, as well as your spiritual team as well. So, and the next thing that's important is self reflection. So we need to take time, make the time to reflect on yourself from the inside, not from the outside. Don't try to reflect on you from the outside looking in. Um, so again, we want to dedicate enough time for that inward reflection and really pay attention to those five senses. So we're talking about, hearing, taste, smell, touch, and so forth. And so we want to really pay attention. We're like a giant sponge. So watch that media. What are you looking at? What are you paying attention to? So many people have that mindless scrolling, right? Over and over and over and over, and you're looking at images maybe we shouldn't look at, or we're listening to things we shouldn't listen to, especially a lot of negativity, a lot of fear-based things, and all you have to do is, um, listen to all the news and what everybody has an opinion, and so really we need to really limit all of that kind of stuff because really fear is just an illusion. And that's not to say that you can just say, oh, that's just an illusion, let's just disregard it. You have to bring that up to the surface if you're experiencing fear within yourself. And there's a certain way to be able to let that go. But watch what you are taking into those five senses. And guys, I know times are tough. I know there's a lot to think about. There are people constantly trying to cause fear and doubt and worry and anxiety, and that's is one of the very reasons that I'm here doing what I'm doing is to be able to, you know, uh, work with you guys to be able to talk to you about healing and the assets of healing and self reflection and setting boundaries and all those positive things, because I promise you, as we heal and we really guard and defend our senses, you're going to find that you're going to have a much more beautiful life than paying attention to all the things on the outside of you. So anyway, let me get back on subject here. I just wanted to mention that because I just feel that, I'm not saying that you have to stick your head in the sand and not know what's going on, but I'm saying the most important world is in this heart space. You have everything in here that you need. There's nothing, you have God, source, spirit, universe in here already, that is protecting you, that is trying to hand you all of your desires, right? And so when we do our workshop on managing your beautiful energy and the workshop on healing, you're going to find that the universe is trying to chase you down to give you everything that you want. It's really amazing, and I just wake up motivated each and every day because it really is a beautiful life. But we have to understand how to wherever we're at this moment, whatever wounds we have, whatever is going on in our world, we have to understand how we can heal and how we can move forward post healing. Okay, not that you'll be completely free and clear for the rest of your life, but it shows you how to manage it, to manage. And so back to this chart here. So some of the ways we can do that is we can start a journal. Now, those of you that have followed me for any time over on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, you'll know that I am a journaling nut. I really believe in journaling because it has assisted me in my healing process so much, that and the meditation process. And so the journaling can either be electronic or it can be paper. I just try to protect Mother Earth as much as we can. And me personally, I end up doing 6 to 7 journals at any given time. So, and I love everything electronic. So that's kind of how I roll. But you can do as you like. I'm not trying to push one or the other. And the reason I say try a meditation practice, there are so many of them that you can do. And if you can't think of how to do it, or it's not working out for you, shoot me a line on the email, and I'll be happy to send you what I have, and maybe it can get you started. But it's up to you. That's sort of an individual, soul by soul, you know, decision there. And so some like to make a self-reflection board, and that's sort of like a poster board, and you can put, words, phrases, pictures, if that is what excites you. And some people learn better by seeing graphics and images and pictures and that kind of thing. So, develop your own. And so you heard me say at the beginning that probably your habits is one of the most critical pieces in the self-reflection. That and the setting boundaries is another one. But discover your habits first of all, and you can take your time. Most of us have thousands and thousands of habits, some good habits, some bad habits. So we want to evaluate the type of habit. So are they destructive? Are they good habits, or are they poor habits? Okay. And so I'm just going to give an example so we can kind of get your feet wet a little bit. So I'm going to give an example of a destructive habit. And so we this is one I had a long time ago before I started healing, is I was pretty self-destructive to myself physically, in that I used to be a pretty bad workaholic. And there have been times I've worked 2 and 3 jobs at the same time, and so I wouldn't get to eat on time and didn't take breaks, and just I was running to and fro, and so I found, oh, excuse me, I found that I was getting home at 10 or 11 o'clock at night, eating like enough for 2 meals, and then going right to bed, and then trying to figure out why I was never able to sleep, why I started having a lot of dietary problems. My body started rebelling, right? And so um, to look into that is what I would call a destructive habit, right? And so then we want to look at metacognition. Now, some of you may not be aware or use this term very often. So all metacognition is it's the art of thinking of how you think. And that sounds like a lot of hype, right? But it actually makes sense. So let me just kind of break it down a little bit. So I'm a very schedule oriented person. So I actually took that same problem of where I wasn't sleeping, I wasn't eating really, and then I was eating too much, working all the time. And so I sort of charted that out. And then I started to discover that I was just really spinning my wheels. There's no reason to be doing that kind of habit. And there is no reason why I couldn't schedule things out a little more. And so little by little, I scheduled, okay, what's the very first thing I have to take care of? How much time do I have? What about the middle of my day? What about the end of my day? And so forth and so on. And so by the time it's over, you can either um, you can either get rid of the whole habit, like throw it out and make a new habit, or you can do as I did, sort of, and I took the destructive habit and I just sort of reframed it, reoriented it, and ended up making about 3 habits out of the one. And then they all were good habits, right? So do it how you're used to thinking, how your mind works, but don't neglect any of the habits. So it's going to take some time to go through all your habits and to either reframe them, reorient them, throw them out, or you know, create all new ones. And so creating new ones can be fun as well. And so metacognition helps you in the end to make better decisions and to solve problems in sort of an analytical way, so that the final product or the final habit is an excellent one. Okay, so if you need a little more help on habits, you can contact me. I have a couple handouts on it as well. Um, but it's sort of a simple process, but yet it takes a while because most of us, at least if you're an older adult, you're going to have a lot of habits there. Okay, so we want to talk just a minute about mindfulness, because mindfulness sort of runs hand in hand with self-awareness. Now, mindfulness is sort of a way to pay attention on purpose, in a non-judgmental way, to what goes on in the present moment, in your body and mind and in the world around you. And I can tell you that a lot of people out there, me included, before I awakened, I had that problem of living in the past. I never could quite be living in the present, right? And so this is very detrimental to your system, because what happens is whatever wounds that you have back there in the past, whatever misgivings that you have, it sort of goes around and around in your head, and you never can make it into this beautiful heart space and let that heart open up and show all that love that you have, to experience all the love that you have. Love is what keeps us going. Love is what heals us. Love is what heals the world, okay? And the more you're up in your head, the more judgmental, the more critical you're going to be. And so, it heightens that. Looking at the chart here that I made, it heightens your level of self awareness. Experience the present moment, as I said, get out of the past. The only thing the past is good for is if you can back up and observe the past so that you don't make the same mistakes that you do. But I promise you, if you'll get in this heart space and create space by letting go of all the things that you don't need to go forward with you, you're going to have a beautiful experience. I promise you. Be calm and peaceful. It's going to help you increase your self-awareness, your self-development, and it's going to actually help you with your focus and concentration. It's going to relax your body and your mind and release all of that anxiety, all that we carry, all the baggage that we carry with us. So mindfulness is very important. And I've actually got some mindfulness techniques that I didn't really include in here. One of them is knowing how to do those that breathing technique that actually will reset yourself from your head space down into the heart space. So if you're interested, you don't have to. You can request those from me as well, free. I'm not charging you for it. And so if you need some extra help there, do write to me. Okay, and so as you heard me say before, boundaries is extremely critical that we talk about that, as well as the habits, right? So we need to learn how to create and maintain boundaries. And all boundaries are, a lot of people make it to be some, hard experience. It's not hard. It's not, it's not anything to fear. All it is setting up stop signs to emotional, different things that will trigger your emotions, and some physical things as well. So it's like a stop sign. And so, but be ready to defend your boundaries through self-awareness. Keep strangers out of your physical and your mental spaces. Okay, this is the way you're going to be able to heal quicker and to have it, of course, long lasting. And it's worthless to your development if you don't protect those boundaries. But warn them as you're, and maybe the word warn isn't what I want to use, just communicate with those that you're making the boundaries that include them. For instance, on the next slide, we're going to talk about some of them. There's physical love, I put because I don't want to encroach upon the wrong word or the wrong phrase for YouTube. But I think you all know what I'm talking about there. Intellectual, emotional, financial, and there's many more. I just included 5 here. And so we're going to take, let's say that you need to set a work boundary. And when you first went to work at your company, let's say that your supervisor, the hiring manager, started scheduling you all of a sudden for 50 to 60 hours a week. And when you first went in there and made the deal with them, you told them, hey, I want to work 32 hours a week. I'll work any 32 hours you got, but just 32 hours a week. And then just suddenly, because there was a need, you're working all this overtime. It's creating problems at home. Your significant other doesn't like it. Your children are going unattended, or whatever the situation may be. So a good um, a good way to set these boundaries are, first of all, understand what the goal is that you're setting by making the boundary. Start small and be clear, be concise, and practice talking to the person if you need to. If it's going to be like a, like a critical, talk with someone, first of all, keep it simple, but you can practice in front of the mirror if you really feel like it's not going to go well, or there's going to be some issues there, and just talk in a very warm, um, friendly way. Like if you have to go talk to your employer, just let them know, hey, this is how it was when I first came, and I really need to get back to that. And so I've set the boundary that I'm not going to work, over 32 hours unless it's an extreme emergency, or, something like that. So boundaries, don't forget about your values, your belief system, your family traditions, the customs, um, if there's any cultural customs that you need to talk about, and sort of try to balance the wants, the wants and needs of all the people involved, your family, your employer, your children, and whoever else. Sometimes talking to a spouse or talking to your significant other can be one that you want to, have to choose your words carefully, especially if it has to do with your relationship, or maybe there's issues coming up in the relationship that you need to talk about. So, do that in a friendly way that you would want to be talked to, and I think everything will go fine. But boundaries are extremely important um, as you think about your emotions, your thoughts, and those feelings, and learning how to manage those, is a key takeaway here. And so our thoughts and our actions are very important, because your thoughts become your actions. So whatever you think about in your mind, whatever comes through. And I just wanted to say this as sort of a teaser to our, to our healing workshop that we have coming up, is your thoughts, when they first come bombarding at you, don't try to push them out. Okay. I have found that if you just sort of, the way I do anyway, is I look at it like a movie screen. A huge, huge screen, right? So the thought, I think about it coming to the left side, let it go through the screen and fall off the right side. And then you can manage that by transmuting that. You can, acknowledge with love and surrender and release that to the universe. There are many ways that we talk about in that workshop on healing. And so remember, your thoughts will become your actions. Your thoughts have power if you are aware of them. And this sounds strange, but there will be thoughts that come to you that you don't even know about. Um, and the reason those are so damaging is, if you're in this heart space and you're having all these thoughts coming up in your head, you know, all of a sudden you'll find yourself talking down to yourself, talking, destructive to yourself, calling yourself names, and you won't even be aware really of where that's even coming from until you stop and you practice mindfulness. Okay, maybe that breathing technique, or you take some time to think about it and you go, oh yeah, I remember now. I remembered back from the past, so and so and so and so. Okay, so just remember your thoughts that you're unaware of can be very damaging. If you are aware of them, then there is a process to go by expelling those out of your conscious mind. And the other thing is, too, those thoughts can end up in your subconscious. And then your subconscious feeds that conscious mind. It can, and then it sort of seems like an endless cycle. And so we have a way to clear that subconscious as well. And I'll just mention one of them now, and we'll come to it later, is positive affirmations will actually load into that subconscious mind, and then when you least expect it, it will overtake the negative thoughts, and then you'll see that you'll be on the road to healing. And so there's much more to that you will get in our healing workshop when we do it. And I'm just excited to be able to get to that point and be able to, bring that to you. Okay, so pick up on all the negative tone of your thoughts. Again, we talked about you will end up destroying the work that you did in that heart space. Remember, fall in love with yourself. You don't want to forget all the self-care for yourself. And so self-awareness gives us the wisdom to identify the positive and the negative thoughts. Okay. And so next, another really important piece to this is know and identify those triggers. What triggers you to have these emotional feelings or these unwanted thoughts coming through? So evaluate the emotional fuses. I call it sort of like a fuse box or a breaker box per se. And so one devastating thought or emotion can actually trip your whole system, depending on what it is. Or maybe you have a lot come through at one time, and it's going to shut you down, so to speak. And so just notice the warning signs. Evaluate your emotional temperature as well. Be mindful of those responses, and remain calm under pressure no matter what. And you're going to find that it's going to be okay. So I'm trying to give you a lot of information so that you can use on yourself. And reflection, you can't really see it because of my little picture in the circle here, but reflect, have that reflection time with yourself, and you can reset yourself. And so we want to talk a little bit about living life with intention. Now, intentions are very easy, but if you don't set your intentions, it can really derail you quickly. So it's sort of an easy fix, but a lot of people just don't either know about it or they disregard it. But it can boost the development of your self-awareness. It can make your choices based on your core values, your beliefs, and the goals. And, this is, again, it's going to feed into those good habits that you've changed back a few slides ago. If you live all of your life with intention, you're going to build habits, good habits, before you even realize they're a habit, right? So it's going to assist you with finding that beautiful purpose and that destiny that we talked about in the previous video. And so setting intentions is very easy. And so I promised you I would talk just a minute about healing the inner child. Now, many of us have not had a perfect childhood. I know in my experience, I was one that I had a very, really a devastating childhood, and a lot of wounds came from that. And so it's very important that periodically we go and visit our inner child, that younger self that we had to deal with so much. And the feeling, this brings on the feeling rather acutely of not being authentic. This is where we are wearing the mask. We pretend to be somebody else when all along we're not that person. And so we don't want to be that way. Authenticity is one of the most important values of you know the spiritual life, as well as healing, as well as finding our purpose and our destiny. And we're going to talk a lot about that in the healing portion of the workshop that we're going to do. And self-awareness, though, develops that clear understanding. It will actually, self-awareness can help that mask to fall off that you're wearing. And we want you to take ownership of yourself and of that beautiful subconscious, okay? And so we want to look at empathy for a minute, because empathy is very important to the self-awareness piece. It's not just recognizing the ways that you're similar with someone else. A lot of times when someone is explaining empathy, that's what they go for. But also we need to understand the ways in which we're very different, right? And we find that common ground. You're better able to accept and deal with the tendencies of others, and that is a very, very direct relationship with self-awareness. And so actually empathy is the direct counterpart to self-awareness. And so when you become self-aware and you do some of these modalities that we've been talking about, you're going to become more aware of others, which will give you empathy toward those people. And so self-awareness and empathy are the two main pillars to emotional intelligence. And emotional intelligence is something that we all want to have and to be able to practice, right? So again, I'm mentioning here, please let go of the past. The past is only going to trip you up. There's no reason to stay in the past, unless you're healing. And if you're healing, you're not going to stay in the past. You might have to refer to something that happened in the past. But let go of the past and be in the present. Very key point here. Self-awareness is vital to letting go of all negative expectations. Okay, so if you will only think about the self-awareness modalities that we've looked at, and actually visit those, and in your own way. I'm not saying that you have to do it like I do it. Okay, so I don't want you to walk away from this program and feel like, oh, well, he said I have to do it like this. No, find that path, or find that emotional intelligence that is geared for you. That's the main goal here. And so you've heard me at the beginning talking about checking in with yourself. Ask yourself how things are going. I do this a lot in meditation. You can ask your soul, how are we doing, or what messages do you have for me? And what comes into your mind will be what your soul is trying to convey to you. Or you can write it down, you can journal. As you're journaling, you can ask that question. So how does your body feel? Don't forget, when you first discover how incredibly, neat and cool you are, how if you could only see what your soul is like if you could separate the human side of you for just a minute and look at your soul, you are just such an incredible, incredible person, an incredible soul. So I do this daily, but I mean, you can do it 2 or 3 times a week or whatever, you feel like, your soul is calling you to do. But I'm telling you, we have been created just magnificently. And if you could only see that the world is the darkness, stay in this heart space, because I promise you, you're going to have such a rewarding life. Things will come to you, will drop in your lap. You've got everything inside this heart that you possibly need. And so we're going to learn this in the healing workshop. But as you heal, so you're going to mirror all of that's inside here. It's going to get mirrored to the world. Okay. So as you sort of narrow that healing list, right? As you go one by one by one by one, and things are being healed, I'm telling you, the universe is going to chase you down with all the desires of your heart. I promise. I promise you. So don't forget about self-care. And the gratitude is very important, because why is gratitude important? What gratitude does, it does a couple of things. It opens our heart, right? This whole entire heart space. And as you show your gratefulness to whatever you resonate in, spirit, God, source, universe, Yahweh, whatever, term you're going to resonate with, all that's going to flow back to the Creator. And as you, so in our energy workshop that we're going to do, you're going to see that there are many, 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 many videos on manifestation. And I know that you know that it's everywhere. And of course, there are different techniques, and I will show you a very, very simple, easy way to let the universe, let your Creator know what your desires are. They're going to already know because of your heart. But as you express your gratitude, guess what happens? You're telling what you're thankful for, and all that lack that you feel is going to go away. There's no lack anymore, because you're grateful for the currency, the money that you have. You're grateful for the roof over your head. You're grateful that you have 3 square meals a day. If you do, I hope you do. And all these things that I'm telling you, you'll get to where you have that oozing feeling coming out of your heart. So much gratitude, so much love for yourself. You'll fall in love with yourself. Okay. And that's not, I know a lot of people maybe have that thing, oh, that's selfish or whatever. No, it's not selfishness. This is what God, source, spirit created. You're the creation. You're that beautiful, perfect creation. And so many people are used to filling someone else's cup before they fill their own cup. Okay. And then they wonder why do these bad things keep happening to me? Why can't I have what everybody else has? Why can't I? And the other piece I want to mention here, but we're going to get it more in the healing workshop, and I really hope all of you will make an effort to attend, but quit comparing yourself to everyone else, okay? Because you're always going to come up on the short end of the stick, right? Because what it appears like, it's not what it is, right? You're made that perfect, that perfect human, that perfect soul together. You have so much to offer, and that purpose, I'm telling you, I get so passionate about this. That purpose and that destiny is dying to come out. Is wanting to come out, but it needs you. The world needs you. Okay? And I don't know how else to express that. The world is actually languishing because of you. It's doing without because you haven't invested that within yourself enough to discover what that beautiful purpose, what that beautiful destiny is, that journey that you'll find. Um, that you'll find. If I could reach you, if I knew the words to use to reach you, it's so worth it. It's so worth it. And so, you know, um, I I love each and every one of you, and I can only look at my own travel path, my own journey, and I can tell you, of course, I'm still on the journey. I'm not to my destiny, right? But I know a little more has unfolded, and it will happen that way for you as you fall in love with yourself again. You do all that self care for yourself. I don't care what it is, working out, running 6 miles a day, um, you know, be out in nature. Get out in nature if you're stuck inside. There is power in nature. Okay. Um, I have every time I go into nature, I have a beautiful experience, and so will you. So if you're stuck inside of an office or in a factory or a hospital or whatever it is, get outside, get into the fresh air and the sunshine. So we want to talk just a second about our beautiful intuition. So our intuition is another term is gut feeling, right? And it's that inner voice that you will hear sometimes. Not audible, but it's just like up in your head, kind of, and in your heart. It's just like, hey, don't go to that party, you know, or whatever it is trying to tell you, or start that new business, or answer that phone call that's a potential employer that wants to hire you, whatever it is. So it's more profound than your conscious mind is. So just remember that. It has more messages, and they are pure messages. Your mind. We didn't really talk much about it this go round, but your mind is kind of tainted in that if you stay up here in this headspace all the time for everything. Now, I'm not talking about analytical things. There's some things that you have to use parts of your brain for, right? I'm not talking about that, but your egoic self, that ego, is more than happy to keep interjecting all these things to you. Okay, and this is kind of what gets you off track. Now, we don't want to kill the ego. We don't want to disregard the ego as far as getting rid of it. We want to make sure that ego is in the back seat, or that you safely lay it down where it needs to be laid down, okay? Because when in your conscious mind, your ego will try to interject all the things, especially from the past, to keep you safe. That's what its job is to keep the whole organism safe, right? And so that's not to say that you're going to be unsafe if you don't listen to your ego, but you need this heart space. You need to operate from the heart space and not from the mind, okay? And so you're going to learn more about the egoic self in the healing workshop that we're going to do. And so the information that feeds into your intuition actually comes from your subconscious. So remember when we were talking about, actually the positive affirmations, healing, all of that is going to clear up that subconscious, right? It's going to, if you've got anything negative or, you know, anything of that nature, try the positive affirmations. They really work very well. And again, I will invite you, if you need help with that, you can write to me. But online, there are many, 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 many thousands and thousands of affirmations. And so as you do your gratitude, as you write your things that you're grateful for, it might be a good time to think about those positive affirmations as well. Sometimes, if you're having trouble at night or with your dreams, you can just read over those affirmations right before you fall asleep, and that will help load all that positiveness into that subconscious there. So your intuition is neutral in communication, meaning what we mean by that is it may tell you, okay, Sally Jane, don't go to that party. Okay, well, it's not going to prevent you from going to the party. It's not going to take something and hit you over the head so you won't go to the party, right? So it will keep warning you. It may talk louder and louder. It may scream at you sometimes if you're purposely ignoring it. Okay, so then you can use your conscious mind to weigh out. Well, should I go to the party? Okay, so don't disregard that that beautiful intuition. And by the way, that is actually a spiritual gift as well. It can be a beautiful spiritual gift. And so the more you use it, the stronger it gets. And so last but not least, we want to look at identifying our strengths and our weaknesses, because we already know our strengths are ones that maybe we don't have to do so much work with. We already can identify what those are, but our weaknesses, we actually want to go into those modalities that will strengthen that weakness, whatever it is. And again, you don't have to spend all day long on self-awareness and mindfulness. You can use it 15, 20 minutes a day, and depends on how much you're healing, depends on how many of those negative thoughts, emotions, and whatnot that you are trying to make into a strength. When I think about strengths and weaknesses, really look at the triggers, the habits, setting boundaries. This is what is going to keep you safe, and then you can kind of get down to more of the nitty gritty or more of the minute, kind of things along the way. And so just remember that the challenges and the obstacles, or some people like to say the blocks, are actually, don't fear them. Don't run away from them, okay? This is what's going to bring the strength. This is what's going to give that immense power that we're all looking for. And then as we have the power and the strength, when more challenges come up, more obstacles come up, they're more easily, you can navigate the road a little bit better by staying in the middle of the road and not, falling into the ditch, so to speak. And I just wanted to remind you of something really beautiful that I always try to think of when I first started my healing journey. When I first awakened spiritually, I had a lot of devastating wounds and things that I had to work with. And so at first, I was one of those that sort of shrank back from, I don't know if I'm going to make it through this one or not. When the fear came, the doubt, the worry, anxiety, depression, all these things. And so I thought a lot about what I observed in nature, I grew up in the country. I won't say we were farmers, but same type of land. And I wanted to tell you the difference between the buffalo and, cows. Cows during a rainstorm, it'll get so dark. And I'm from Tennessee, and so we've had so many devastating tornadoes and all that hail and all that kind of stuff, and they can pop up pretty fast. And I remember so many times the cows would, like we do, try to run away from the storm, try to run away from the darkness, and they would huddle together under the trees so tight that they were actually up against each other, right? I've seen many a time when a cow has gotten struck by lightning, many, many times. And but let me tell you what the buffalo does. The buffalo shield their young in the middle of them, and they race. And I'm telling you, they run toward the center of the storm. And a lot of people at first, they may not know about nature, or they're from the city or whatever. They say, "Oh, look, why would they do that? Why would they run directly into the storm?" It's because they know if they go through the center of the storm, just on the other side of the center is peace, is quiet, is sunshine, is that beautiful place for their babies, their young. And so that I'd like to bring that forward for each one of us, for you and for me. If you cannot shrink from the fear or from the worry or for the depression or for whatever that emotion is that you're going through and dealing with, and maybe it's dealing with people, maybe you're dealing with difficult people or your past or your some aspect of your life, just remember on the other side, just directly, not a long way from the storm, but right there, if you can make it through the center of that storm, it's going to be so peaceful, and you're going to be the conqueror. You're going to have victory. And um, I just want to encourage you, each one of you. Um, this system works. This looking at the self-reflection, looking at the self-awareness, the mindfulness, and you know, um, this is what we have to do. We have to, and just don't look at the whole thing at one time. If you've got a lot of wounds, it's okay. Um, you heal them one by one by one by one. And as you get some experience with it, say like after you've done one or two wounds, you will all of a sudden get, get that feeling that, hey, I got this. I got this. I got what it takes. I've got the resilience. I used to call it getting back up on the horse when I was thrown off. I've been thrown off the horse so many times, so many times. And you'll hear a little bit about that when I release my testimony. But, I learned to dig my heels in and never give up. Never, ever, ever give up. And so as you cultivate resilience, God, Yahweh, Spirit, Source, Universe will also give you the grace to heal, as well as that beautiful faith and trust that we have to have. Learn to walk by faith, not by sight. And I promise you, you're going to be perfect. You're going to be fine. And not only fine, you're going to come through this in a way that you'll never go back. You'll never allow some of these wounds to get, to wind up finding its way back into your beautiful heart. And so this is Dan at Soulify. And again, I'm here if you want to write to me, if you need any kind of handouts or any extra help. We're here. And I've had a terrific time with you today. And I love all of you. And you have that extraordinary day. Okay?